Good morning. Been a while since I did a morning video. How's everybody doing? I'm going to talk about budget, debt, and debt management. Mixed with politicians and politics. See, something you'll never ever hear a politician say. I'm going to cut fat off of the budget until the books are balanced, which means we don't spend more than what we bring in. You have a base number of something, of whatever you guys bring in every single year, give or take $100,000 or even $1 million. You can easily figure that number out, I'm sure, based on the population and how much you take from us. So then you need to just start cutting things out until your budget's better, right? See, I'm going to relate it to me personally. When I had an apartment, right, and I smoked cigarettes and I drank, all stupid things, and I ate bad. Better than a lot, but not great. So right off the get-go, I wasn't able to give money to charity. I couldn't go around helping others financially very much because my money was all spent. If I had money left at the end of the week, it was a miracle. Come payday. Now, I've always been pretty good at budgeting, so usually, even back then, I'd be broke, but it would be like 2 days before payday or something like that. Though, I'll tell you, it was the worst feeling to be 2 days before payday and need something and have no money. So you're scrounging for money or you're using credit. So then you get paid and you got to pay for that right off the get-go. So now your budget's fucked up going into the next 2-week period. Right away. So then that makes that entire 2 weeks really hard. So now you got to start cutting all those whole 2 weeks. You got to start really disciplining yourself and cutting shit down and doing this and that in order to just make it without borrowing again. So Justin Trudeau, Pierre Poilievre, Joe Biden. First thing you guys got to do is stop giving our money to charities. What the fuck? Your budgets every year aren't just a little over. You're millions and trillions of dollars over. Just throwing debt every year. And yet you can't fucking yet. No, sorry, my bad. So you're just building this huge debt, and you're not even thinking about what comes in and how you're going to ever pay that debt off. Now, I'm sure that, like, Trudeau talked about pot being legalized and how much money it's going to make and all this stuff, and then went out and spent it with interest, like just spent years without knowing, without even having the system laid out or anything. Lost fucking tons of money somehow, and now don't have any idea how he's going to fucking pay off all this debt he acquired because he thought he was going to make so much money and he counted his chickens before they hatched. You don't fucking do that. I'll tell you, that's like, in relating it back to me again, and I've done this as a young dummy. You're fucking growing weed, right? And you're looking at these nice fucking big buds outside, and you think, oh, fuck, I'm going to have a crop in 3 weeks. I'm going to, all life's going to be great, blah, blah, all this stuff. Do you know how much can happen to that crop in 3 weeks? Outdoors, it can get eaten, it can get stolen, and it can rot. That's the worst one. And I've had all those things. I've come out, and bunny rabbits will actually chew the branch, knock it over, and then they don't like it. So they just leave it there laying on the fucking ground. You come out and all your branches are just laying on the fucking ground. I've had people fucking stumble on my plants and take them all, or take half, take 3/4, all my good stuff. And I've had the bud rot. That's the worst one. Just takes one bad day. I remember one day I went out and looked, and there was like just a little speck on a branch or whatever, and I shook all the water off, and I thought, I'll be fine. I'll come back after work and I'll crop the whole bud or whatever. And I came back after work, and that whole branch was rotten. That much of it. There was like that much of the cola left at the top, and all that whole branch was gone. It's quick. Boom, you can lose your whole fucking crop overnight. Well, not all of it, but you can lose all your tops in one night. So you never, ever spend that money from your pot crop before you get your pot crop. You wait and you fucking get it dry and cured and it smokes and it's good. And then you can fucking live on the high horse for a little bit if you're fucking dumb. Which I was, and I'm sure Justin is. So anyways, first thing you cut out of the budget, any charity. Sorry, but we can't do charity, this, that, the others. Just can't happen. There's no money there. We don't make money as a government. We don't make money. We take other people's money. So we have no right to then spend it on charities around the world. It's not our money. So cut that out of the budget. If people want to give money to a charity, they'll do that. Otherwise, fuck off. It's our money. Next thing, in Canada and in the States, I'd cut the welfare system altogether. Goodbye. Keep maybe disability. Maybe keep a welfare system for healthy people, but you get 3 months. If you can't get a job in 3 months, well, sorry about your fucking luck. Go talk to your family. Go get your mom and dad to look after you, or whatever. Whoever raised you to be such a fuck up can now pay for your fuck ups. But we're not, as a country. We can't do that. And then healthcare. our healthcare system is a fucking joke. Totally, completely a fucking joke. Just abolish that shit. Go private. Get the government's fingers out of it altogether, because they have no fucking idea. These aren't qualified health officials. They proved that in the pandemic, but they don't need to prove that. Fucking, they're a lot of cases, just their physical appearance proves that. Like if they're fucking 30 and they look like they're older than me, having strokes and shit, what the hell? You know, I haven't lived that great. I haven't made the best choices throughout my entire life. But I don't look like I'm fucking 50 years old or 60 years old, right? I look like I'm 40, 44, whatever, next month. I think I look my age. People say, oh, you look young. No, I don't look young. 40's not old. 40's young. I look 40. I look 60's young. I've worked with 60-year-olds. 60's not old. It's old to be working still. You know, if you still have to be out in the, it's either that you've made bad choices or that you've had all your money stolen and whatever. We live in a horrible system. See, as long as we're trapped in this life system, then you're going to have drug problems and suicide problems and all these other problems, because the way we live is horrible and we're not designed for it. To live in these cities that we live in, work 40 hours a week or more in some separate place than your life and separate from your loved ones and your family and everything else. And in a lot of cases, horribly boring, monotonous, repetitive shit, right? And just not designed for that. That's not our thing. See, there's tons of room on Earth. No reason that people can't just be farmers, just simple farmers in your own backyard and look after yourselves. Except for the corporate greed. If that was the case, then politicians wouldn't be able to live rich for doing nothing. And all these middlemen, kind of executives and boardroom people that don't ever do anything but make huge amounts of money for nothing. There wouldn't be room for them. But other than that, everything else would still be here. Like, there would still be people that would invent things and make things and go out and want to sell and share that with the world. It's just that rather than having to go through all these patent lawyers and all this other shit and all this laws and pay this guy and pay that guy and pay this guy and pay that guy and fucking all this other shit, you could just go make it, maybe perfect it a little better and start marketing it on the internet or whatever, right? Like, it just, progress would still progress. Without factories and shit like that. It's just, they make our lives a little easier, but not really. I wish I could put my finger on it. See, we do need stuff. We need circuit boards and things of this nature from somewheres. So there does have to be people doing that kind of stuff, I guess, in order to supply us with the simple things. But like, as far as a power grid, that's unnecessary. The Earth is a huge power ball. Everybody could have their own power plant right there. See, all you'd have to do is drill a well and basically line it with copper. You know, so if you went down 100 feet with like a well line casing, right, but had copper weaved into it somehow, so that, and then have the copper line coming up out of the ground, and an antenna on it, not very big either. It just needs to, and I don't even know that you'd need an antenna with that metal. That you need the antenna on a wooden one. And the antenna on the wooden one, you're actually pulling electricity from the air and ground and neutralizing the soil, as opposed to pulling energy. When you're pulling energy, you put the copper down into the ground, wire it in sequence, and then you can have you can power light bulbs and shit with just little pieces of copper in the ground. So it only makes sense that if you put a huge piece of copper in the ground, 100 feet down, that it would be pulling so much more power, pushing out of the top. You put a couple of those in a town or in a community or whatever, and that's power for that community. Especially if you had like a couple of batteries in each house, just to be safe. But you just so that you had like a bit of a reserve, and then that could just be constantly charging the batteries. But it's not like a wind or a solar where it shuts off at night or it shuts off in the. It's constantly putting out that amount of power. Now, like I say, if you're not home and nothing's being used, you're still putting out all that much power. So it'd be nice to have a couple batteries or something that you could store a bunch of that power in. But again, you could then run an auxiliary wire off of that going to the factory that's down the road, you know, like just have telephone poles or whatever, like we do, running, and then that all goes, everybody goes back to this thing, back to these factories or whatever, and when everything's charged in your house, and these are already a thing. I've been watching on people doing homesteading and stuff, and what they'll like with water generators. They have volt testers on their hooked up to their battery system, so that when this battery system gets fully charged, it flicks over and it'll run the fridge, and then it shuts the fridge off. It only runs the fridge for 15 minutes, and then it'll shut the fridge off. And if the batteries are still charged, then it just doesn't use power anymore. It doesn't keep overcharging the batteries. So then then when there's a draw off the batteries, it clicks back on and charges the batteries back up once they drop to a certain level. So same deal. You just have that in everybody's houses. And if there's more power, like an abundance of power coming out of the ground, then nobody's really using it in that, off of that little area right there. Then it gets shipped off and it can charge up the batteries at the factory. And then it's all free. You know, there'd be a tiny bit of maintenance to it to fix the wires and stuff. But if we ran all that shit underground, it would be just locator guys, basically. I don't see any other real maintenance to it. Every once in a while, yes, you'd have to go around and maybe replace ends on the copper, or even put in new ones or whatever. After a while, because things would rot. Um, Anything that's exposed to the oxygen, especially, is going to rot. But again, there's ways around that where you have it all underground and contain it in, you know, plastics or whatever, so that it's not getting the soil all clumped around it and shit, rotting it as well. Steel lasts a long time in the metal, or metals last a long time in the ground. So you'd get at least 70 years maintenance free power that's chemical free and all carbon neutrally, fucking all that shit. Um, so then you could close down all the fucking any power, government power, fucking related shit, and giving out fucking money to bail out all these and do this and do that. Just fuck off. If your company isn't sustainable by itself, then it's going to go under, and that's the end of that. We'll figure out a better new way. We'll figure out a sustainable way. And the problem is everything in our society is profit driven. Certain things we got to just say no to profit and say we need this to be cost effective for the people, for the taxpayer, because, well, that's essentially, that's the boss. That's the whole point of the government even existing. So cut the welfare, cut the charities, cut the medical shit. School system. School system has failed miserably. Really miserably. Kids are flunking out. Kids are graduating without being able to read and do math. And then even if you graduate with straight A's, you're not prepared for the world. You have no fucking idea. You're thrown out into a world that you don't understand. You don't have any budgetary fucking sense or anything like that. You'd learn more listening to my fucking shit than you would from the school. And then you're indoctrinated with all this misinformation of millions of years and shit like this that scientifically don't make sense, right? And then they'll push one side, one theory, without even touching on the other theory or explaining why the other theory has more evidence behind it and how the evidence actually leads more to this theory, but we like this theory, so we're going to stick with it. That's fine, but you got to at least tell the kids. Anyway, you privatize that shit, and there's competition. There's competition right with the teachers. So if you're a teacher and your class is flunking, well, guess what? That's your fault. You're gone. Go be a janitor or whatever. Get another teacher in there, somebody who's got passion. Start passing kids. You start graduating kids that come back and do, like I graduated from this school and I big business person, successful, this, that, the other, whatever. My farm's the best farm in the neighborhood. Who cares? But I'm educated and successful. I was able to step out of this school and into the world seamlessly. And I was ready for budgets and for all the things that life was going to throw at me. That's important. And our school system doesn't do that. So we just need to say, okay, well, we'll cut it out, make it private. And then, like I said, there's competition, because if you're failing that school that somebody graduates from and they're like, fuck, I don't know anything. I don't know how to live. I don't know how to exist. I don't know how to budget. I don't know how to fucking get an apartment. I don't know how to go get a job. I don't know how to make a resume. I don't know this. I don't know. Nobody's going to send their fucking kids to that school. That school's going to go out of business. And then a better school is going to move in with better teachers, right? Or they're going to fire the principal, the manager, put in a new manager, and he's going to change everything and get new styles of teaching and new ways. And sometimes that's all it takes, right? If it's a whole school that's failing, you can't say that all those teachers suck. You got to say, okay, it's mismanaged. There's something going on there that at the top level that's trickling down through and screwing everything up. You see that in different businesses or whatever, anyways, where you'll be like night shift management will be one way and the day shift management will be another way, and you'll see the difference in inefficiencies of the exact same jobs, and not even night and day, say like morning and afternoon or morning and evening shift, right? And you'll see the different efficiency of all the different staff members and of the whole show under the different managers. And then that lets you know that it's not a staff problem, because like in a lot of those situations, the staff will work shift work. So it'd be, your evening today, tomorrow you're in the midday, the next day you're in the morning, the next day you're evening again, the next day you're morning again, the next day you're 3 mornings in a row, and then you got, whatever, and it just right, all over the place. So, but with the school system, you'd be able to figure that out real quick, because it's not like teachers are moving around a lot. And if it's a teacher failing kids, then you got to say, okay, it's the teacher's fault, and so forth. Anyhow, and leaving it government, there's no competition, and unions and all this shit. There's no real threat of doing a bad job and all that. So, and they get overpaid and too much benefits and all this other shit. Personally, you could do all of school, the 12 years or whatever, in, probably 6. And done right, turn out better educated kids. And then if you didn't do the summers off and all this other bullshit, you could cut that 6 down again, do it in 5 years, full years, and but see, the state wants your kids. That's why you'll never see a politician saying anything I say. They can't. It's very important that they keep your kids away from the home and stuff, and for a long time, 12 years, right? Learning just the same shit over and over, doing fucking art classes and stuff. Just learning a bunch of bullshit. But mostly getting indoctrinated to think right. Makes me glad I got kicked out of school so much. Saved my brain. By the time I hit grade 7, I was bad. Not horrible bad, but just stupid little things. And I was doing drugs by then. And the teachers didn't like me around the other kids. So they kept doing weird shit where they'd, kick me off the school property at lunch and break and stuff like this. I wasn't allowed to be around the other kids outside in free time. They put me in school suspension for like 4 months, which is like solitary confinement. Then they just expelled me a couple times, like at the end of the year, just threw me right out for the rest of the year. Both years. But then the second year, they shipped me off to a different school, bad kid school, and got rid of me altogether. Anyhow, so being outside of it that much, I didn't get the indoctrination that everybody else got quite so hammered in. And still, I was still heavily indoctrinated, but I was able to break it quite a bit easier than most. It wasn't easy. It was fucking hard. Still hard today to think right a lot of times. So, keep shaving things away from the budget until it balances, right? And I realize we need to have some military spending and this and that, policing, things like this. But I think that putting police, traffic cops, there's a separation there that should be made or whatever, where, see, and this is where I like the sometimes I prefer the digital for things like traffic violations. It keeps cops the fuck away from people because they're power hungry little weasels, a lot of them. And get them to go focus on crime. Like, go focus on what your fucking politicians are doing, you stupid fuckers. That's a crime. Anyhow. And then you wouldn't need so many of them fucking driving around all the time. You could have intersection cameras for traffic lights and speed traps for speeding. And then have cops for other things. And then as far as like drugs go, well, again, I think kind of regulating and legalizing them is the better thing to do to some aspect. I don't know where it is. See, once you better people's lives, they're not going to need those drugs, the alcohol and all that shit. They're not going to want it as much. But you got to better the rest of their lives. You got to better their existence. And loosening up money, taking away stress, that's a really good way to better someone's life and existence. Pierre Poilievre is our new conservative leader in Canada, And fuck, he's better than Justin, that's for sure. He's better than Harper was, but not by much. He's more relatable than Harper was. He's easier to listen to and talk to. I forget who the conservative leader was last election. I voted for him just to vote against Justin. I didn't know who I was voting for. Didn't care. Just voted against Justin, hoping to get rid of that liberal piece of shit scumbag government. But not that the conservative scumbag government's much better. They're better with freedom. They're better with rights. They're better with fucking LGBTQ bullshit. And just I don't care if you're a sexual pervert. These are your rights, and these aren't. So here's the line. Just stay on that fucking side of it. I don't give a fuck what you do in your bedroom or whatever. Just keep that in your fucking bedroom. But you go over here and you start preaching to people and fucking with kids and doing all this other, you're on the wrong side of the line. And there'll end up being consequences of that. There has to be. But with good leadership, the consequences can just be you guys getting a fine, you guys getting arrested a couple times, people getting shown this is the fucking line, you got to tote it. And then things would be fine. Everything would be fixed. The bad government, it leads to like civil war eventually, or violence in the streets at the very least. Fucking leadership matters. So anyway, once you got the budget down to being balanced, and really, once you got rid of all that stuff I just said, I think you'd be past balanced. You'd be also able to get rid of a ton of these officials up at the top levels that get like hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in their salary, plus benefits and fucking shit. You'd be able to get rid of all those fucking, or not all those people, but you'd be able to get rid of a bunch of those people. Because if there's no school, you don't need all the school managers and all the school fucking board and all that other stuff. It's all gone. If there's hair in my mouth, anything that you get rid of like that, you potentially are going to get rid of somebody who makes huge amounts of money for doing mostly nothing. And you'll privatize that money. So then it'll be re-spent back into the community and stuff, rather than going into some politician's fucking private jet and flying them to wherever so that they can fucking live the life of luxury or whatever, making them rich. You're doing a horrible job, absolutely horrible job. Life has gone down in the last 40 years, like everything, cost of living, and like the standards of living and vacation time and fucking, having like one job, and as opposed to having like several jobs, overtime and all this other shit, and owning your house and owning your car, and now it's just debt. Everything has gone downhill. right across the board. Uneducated kids, the school board's getting worse and worse, so bad that they've had to dumb down the questions on the SATs in order to keep the scores up twice, I believe, in the last 40 years. But at least once in the 90s. And I remember it. I was in school. And then all that, but you keep giving yourselves raises and shit. And not just little raises. You're retiring fucking super rich. Like, look at Obama. Go and look up what he owns and shit, and the money that he's worth. Fucking look up Trudeau and what he's worth now, and all this shit. It's not right. Somebody doing that miserable of a job, well, they should be fired, first off. But certainly shouldn't be getting rich. You're doing a fucking shitty job. I'm not going to keep giving you raises. You keep giving yourself raises somehow. But shouldn't that be the people's choice? Whether a politician gets a fucking raise or not? Like when Trudeau okayed his own raise of $100,000 a year when he first got voted in. What? No. You ask us. We'll go vote on what you should get paid. And I would have voted that you get demoted $100,000 a year. Right? Like, that should be the choice. Do you think his pay should stay at $340,000 a year? Or should it go to $460,000 a year? Sorry, that's what it was. It's 65. So should it be $365,000 a year, $465,000 a year? Or should it be $265,000 a year? And I'd say $265,000 a year. And then the next fucking election, I'd say $165,000 a year. And that's good. That's fair. Right? You're taking on a stressful fucking job and shit. You're doing something that, yeah. That's fine. But $465,000 a year, that's fucking insane. And then you're ripping us off. On top of that, you're giving charity money to the charity that your fucking mother-in-law and wife and shit run, and they're flying all over the fucking world, spending our money, living up the life of luxury on our dime. I can't believe I'm having to say this at all. Like, everybody should be fucking livid in Canada and the US. We should all be fucking livid, pissed right off at these fucking scam artist politicians, ready to just arrest every one of them. Like I said about the cops, you know, if you want to impress the people, go arrest Justin and all of his fucking cabinet, the whole fucking shit of them. Just get an investigation going and make it stick. Like, that's your job. That's your whole fucking fundamentals of your job. You know, their job is to look after us. When they don't look after us, then they're criminals, and it's your job to fucking make sure that they look after us or arrest them. Like, how do you sleep at night? How do you live with yourselves? It's no wonder cops are out beating their wives and drinking and fucking living these horrible fucking lives. You must feel like a piece of fucking scum every day. Just a fucking drain on society. Sucking up the fucking everything like a cockroach. Fucking piece of scum. Shit bag. Fucking loser. That's how I see cops. For the most part. I know there's good ones. I know that they mean well, this, that, the other. But they're fucking few and far between, I'll tell you. And getting less and less and less. Most of the good ones are quitting. Especially during COVID. They're like, fuck this. I'm not doing that. any good one would have quit already by now. If you have any integrity at all, you wouldn't be a cop right now. You'd be like, fuck, I can't do this. It's totally against my moral standards. You're supposed to have those. Everybody, not just cops. Everybody. Christians or atheists or even Satanists. Actually, Satanists have some of the highest moral standards that there is. You have to, in order to manipulate into the power of God. Yeah. You can't, you can't manipulate into the power of God and, while being a bad person or whatever day to day. So they have to be charitable and nice and this and that and tell the truth. Then they can lie. And there's all this other side of it. But in order to get the power that is godly, you need to do godly things. So they have to live a certain way. And it's righteous to a certain extent. The true ones. Now, other Satanists are just self-worshipping. So that'd be like your average, everyday person that you see in the street, atheists and things like this, that just, they're like, no, well, I don't know. I don't think there's God. I don't think this and I don't think that. And they don't believe in Satan or God or anything else. They believe that they're the own makers of their own destiny and they decide everything. And so they are God. Which is humanism and is, or they'll worship somebody else, like worship, Justin Trudeau, say, or fucking Joe Biden or Trump or fucking whatever, Pierre Poilievre or whatever. And they'll say, oh, well, that person, blah, 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 and fucking, again, it's humanism and that's Satanism. It's a form of Satanism. You're not going to be forgiven for it. That's all. So, what do you guys think? Like, if you were a politician, could you shave your budget? Like, couldn't you figure out, okay, I can't eat out today? Like, can you shave your own budget? Do you know to make savings and all that kind of? It seems to me that they should be able to budget enough and then actually get it so that the money coming in is less than being spent and they're able to pay on the debt. Hopefully more than the interest, more than the minimum payment, like chop down some of this fucking tremendous debt that you've made. It's ridiculous. How do you make that much debt and then just keep going with it? And I know it's debt to nobody, but it's to somebody. It's just, I get that it's a scam, but if you tried to get out of that scam, you're going to be murdered. JFK, Lincoln, Andrew Jackson, he never got murdered. They attempted to murder him. The gun jammed, but he grabbed another gun and it jammed. But by that time, Andrew Jackson got to him, beat him with a cane, and then he was arrested or whatever. And then his vice president, I should know his name, but I don't, had an actual like fucking take 10 steps, turn around and shoot out, or whatever the rules were, had a fucking shoot off with the Rothschild negotiator, like their whatever person, and he killed that guy. And then they never let the bank into America, but as soon as he was gone, they came right back in through Woodrow Wilson. So it was a little after he was gone, whatever. But it didn't take long. Another generation came in through, and they just, and here we are. And then it got to JFK. It got to Lincoln. Lincoln said he was going to make greenbacks, which was America printing its own money. He said, I found these documents, and we're supposed to be making our own money. We're not supposed to be debt, blah, 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 all this stuff, and all these rules that we're supposed to be that we don't pay attention to. And so anyway, so then he was killed, and then it got to JFK, and he actually had a thing written all up where America was going to fucking start making their own money. And I think it was 2 months into that. It was just before he was going to have it signed into document, he was shot too. So, no, you're not going to fucking win at that game anytime quick, but you could pay them the fuck off. Just get free of them. You're still using them. You're not free of them, but you don't have to fucking be in debt. Is what I'm getting at, right? It's like, I just hit a milestone. I paid off my credit card again, right? And so it's at zero again, and I'm able to watch my account grow a little bit. And it's great because I got nothing to spend it on, right? Because I don't have taxpayers. So I don't have to go, okay, guys, here's a rebate of your money back. Because that's what would happen in that case. Or we don't need to fucking do income tax anymore. We don't need to do property tax anymore. We're just going to tax the food, and we're going to tax like your purchases, and that's it. And that's enough money to cover our expenses, and everything else is fucking private. So we don't need to, we got the debt paid off, and so now you're free, and you can own property forever and inherit it to your kids forever. Once it's yours, it's really actually yours. There's no losing it government-wise. You can lose it if you're fucking drunk or something. And you sell it so that you can fucking get some money, or borrow too much against it and then end up not being able to pay back what you borrow and lose it. Sure. But you're not going to lose it because of property tax. Just seems simple, doesn't it? Like, doesn't that seem like a really easy, simple solution to running a country? Like, wouldn't that be the first thing that any politician would do? I know you guys are all like, oh, I'll get rid of the welfare system. Oh my God, you can't do that. I'd actually reform the prison system as well. There wouldn't be one. There would be a jail, for sure, but you would only go to jail until your punishment, and then you would be free again, or dead. So, a kid, minor offense. Everybody gathers at the end of the week in King Square, and the kid gets a spanking on his fucking bare ass in front of all of his buddies and all of his peers and everything. And it's bad. Like, his ass is black and blue. He's not sitting down. Uh, then he becomes an adult, and say he does something again. Uh, he gets another spanking, but this time on his bare ass again. But this time it's administered by like a strongman competition guy. One of those guys who does the fucking face slap competitions, and you see them knocking guys out with one slap. Wow, 2 or 3 of those guys line up, and they all get to spank your fucking ass. So you're not sitting down, like you're not sitting down for so long that you're wondering, am I ever gonna fucking heal? Like, am I permanently fucking damaged? It's been 2 months and I still fucking tender sitting down or whatever. And then after about 4 months or so, you'd finally be fucking healed back up and able to sit totally. Second defense, it's a bosun from the ships back in the day. When you fucked up on a ship, the bosun got out his whip, he tied you to the mast, and they fucking whipped your ass, your back, and they'd fucking peel skin. You were scarred for life. So second defense, you get 2 of those, big X whoosh, across your back, or 2 lines whoosh, across your back that are scars that are like this wide, your whole back, right from one shoulder to your fucking hip, and you're filleted open, and then whatever, pour some disinfectant and salt on there. He'll throw you in a fucking doctor's office for a couple of weeks. Off you go. No stitches. We want that fucker to scar. Third offense, you're getting like 10. Your whole fucking back doesn't even have skin on it anymore. Even if they wanted to sew you up, there wouldn't be fuck all to sew. It's all laying on the fucking ground. Like 10 lashes from those whips, man. And apparently people were just fucking meat. It was just disgusting. And you do that in King Square. Publicly, you bring your fucking kids and you shout, you tell them, this is what happens to fucking criminals. Look at that kid at school. You know that kid. Look at him getting spanked and him crying like a little fucking girl. You thought he was tough, didn't you? Well, he thought he was fucking tough too. And look what's happening to him. So now you fucking behave yourself, or that's going to happen to you, you little fuckers. Right? And your misbehaving kids will straighten the fuck up really quick. And bring it home and spank your fucking kids when they're misbehaving. And you don't have to get angry and fucking beat them until they're not sitting down for a week. But there's a time and a place to on their ass, and let them know that they, you don't have to go right off and give it all you got. But you can give a good little whack on someone's ass, on a kid's ass, and they're turning around. You don't even have to pull their pants down. Or on their hand. Done that as well. No, you don't do that. You don't touch that. It's hot. That's sharp. And then the kid knows, no, I don't touch that. That you don't have to abuse anybody. Now, when they start breaking laws, if all that little stuff didn't work, yeah, now it's time for fucking abuse. And like I said, the underage spanking and the first offense spanking should be enough. And if you're getting spanked, you're 22, you just did some stupid shit on the weekend, and now the whole fucking town's watching you get your fucking ass spanked. And spank like that to the point that you're fucking hurting. You know, most dudes aren't gonna cry, but you're gonna fucking cry out in pain. You're gonna be hurting like you've fucking never been hurting before, especially the third or fourth spanking, right? Like them big dudes fucking just laying onto you. Even just one of them just fucking whack, 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 and like lining up the way they do and getting ready and then whack everything they got into your fucking ass. And give them a nice leather glove. I was thinking about a surgical glove, but a nice leather glove would be better. Put some beads on it. Problem solved. No more prison. Right? Fourth offense, we hang you or fucking shoot you in the face. Again, very publicly. And maybe not shoot you in the face or hang you, but like gas you out, have a gas chamber, but you have the gas chamber set up right in the middle of town. You get to that fourth offense, there's no fucking use for you. You're just a drain on society. You haven't got a job yet. You know what I mean? Welfare's gone. You got your 3 months of welfare and you couldn't get a job during that time. And now you still haven't gotten a fucking job and you're out robbing people or whatever. You don't fit. Sorry about your luck. Now we could do like an Australia thing. Sorry about your luck, and just take them to somewhere, some spot on the earth. Iceland, no, Greenland. Iceland's ice. Iceland's nice. Greenland's ice. There you go. Live on Greenland, you fuckers. You don't want to take them someplace tropical or nice. You take them someplace frozen and shitty. You have no guards, no boats, no nothing. You just build them a few little houses to get them going or whatever, and then you just drop them off. You know, every time you drop a guy off, you put a crate of seeds and fucking couple of goats and chickens or whatever for everybody to, because they're a bunch of useless fucking douchebags that probably everything you gave them last time they all fought over and ate it all up and hogged it, and now they're all starving to death. Maybe they'll learn eventually how to make a society of their own or whatever, but not our problem. They'll learn or they'll freeze to death. Again, not our problem. And now I realize that's cruel to our society or whatever, but look what our uncruel society has led to. Like it's all this humaneness and all this shit with prisoners and all this stuff. It's not. It's making the problem worse, not better. You'd obviously still also need court and all that. You wouldn't just fucking be grabbing people and going and spanking them and beating them and throw them into fucking jail for the week and then go spank them. No, you throw them in jail for the week, take them to court, throw them in jail for the week, take them to their beating, release them, right? Excuse me, there's some kid just freaking it. Um, Anyhow, I'd love to hear comments about what you guys might think of all this, because I really don't see Trump or anybody fixing anything, and especially Trump. I just noticed in his Tucker Carlson interview, he's either playing his cards really close to his chest this time, or he doesn't have the same plans as last time. I think he's playing his cards close to his chest because he learned a lesson last time, saying too much to his enemies and not realizing who his enemies really were and stuff. Anyway, I've been an hour and 5 minutes. Wow. I didn't think I had a video at all in me today. God bless, guys. Leave a comment. I hope you subscribe if you can. Just days now until, wow, I still got a whole week left now. Exactly a week and 7 days on my flight. Wish me luck. I hope, if you pray, if you know God, pray for me as I step into this crazy life. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed my video. Thanks for sticking around for the whole thing. It's crazy. I was blabbing. God bless you. Have a good weekend.